Hello, everyone, and very, very welcome to today's webinar. And as always, we will kick it off with a little introduction video. Very welcome to today's webinar on putting your Copilot agents into action. My name is Ulrika Hedlund, and I'm the founder and CEO of Storyals. Our mission is to build digital leaders one story at a time. And our mission is to inspire, motivate, and educate users on new digital ways of working. I have a full team with me today. So Storyals are here to help you and to answer questions and to put comments. So please, everyone, feel free to put your comments into the chat, to show your reactions, to put on your camera, to put on your avatars, because today is all about having a conversation about this new era with Copilots working side by side with us. I am super, super happy to introduce my co-host, so Charlotte from Microsoft. I'm adding you to the spotlight. So you are a Copilot Technical Specialist. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do in your day-to-day job?
So what I do is I help customers figuring out what they need and how to use our products. I work within the specialist sales team. So my job is to guide our customers in their decisions on a daily basis. I work both with end users, but I also work with IT and technical experts, describing and explaining how our technology works and how it's all interconnected. So that's what I do on a daily basis.
And I love how you say, guide our users, because it is a little bit of a jungle, isn't it? Not that just the technology itself, but the name changes and the strategy and it's moving really, really fast. So before we get on with kind of the Q&A and the topics for today, I want to just ask you one of those personal questions. So what are the 3 apps that you cannot live without on your mobile? Doesn't have to be Microsoft, just the 3 apps that you can't live without.
Yeah. So my daily routine is I wake up, I use the Copilot app to ask, okay, what's on my agenda. Then I use my Microsoft my email application to see what's on my calendar. Did I receive anything that's very important? And on a side note, I also have this application called Solitaire, which is actually a mobile game. So that one I could actually not live without on my mobile.
Well, thank you for being so frank, right? And it's funny how we talk about AI and how we can be so much more productive, and then at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? So we waste time on a lot of things.
The social media, but I do play Solitaire.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So really, today's session, we're going to have a conversation on this thing with agents, right? And I really believe that 2025 will be the year where we see more and more agents, coming into our daily work, and just like we have colleagues or coworkers. What's your kind of view for 2025 and agents? What do you believe? So having a bit more of insight from Microsoft as well.
Yeah. I would agree on that. Since we are, and other companies as well, but we are making it very available for everyone within an organization to use these technologies. I think that we will see more and more innovation from individuals within organizations, and we will learn how to talk to our data instead of using the search mechanisms that are very powerful. But when we learn how to ask for what we want in a natural way, instead of thinking, okay, where did I find that? Where did I put it? And letting someone else do that, I think it would actually be it will actually be some kind of tool that people can't live without, and we will see it more and more in our daily lives as well, not just work-wise. Making it available is the key factor, democratizing the usage.
And just like you said, that we kind of learn to live with it, and then we can't live without it. So I'll just give you an example. So we have some students here from the Royal Institute of Technology who are doing their master's thesis at Storyals. So they're working on a 6-month plan with us to work on agents. And so I prompted Copilot, like, give me a 6-month week by week plan. And I got this. I'm like, you know what? Now I just want to put this automatically into Planner so that we have the whole plan. And then I want to have a, project manager that can do a few of these things for me. And I was like, okay, we're not really there yet because some of these things haven't been announced yet, but we're coming there. And when you start working that way, you're like, do I really have to put these things manually, like step by step? So definitely something that we will, it will be totally natural to us. With that said, there are a lot of emotions also. What are these agents doing? Microsoft named your AI agent Copilot. You've always been saying that, it's your Copilot, you are in charge. Now this is changing a little bit with the agents, right? When agents start doing things on behalf of us. How do you see that changing a little bit with how to think of an agent?
I think we're still in the time where it's still Copilots. You still have to prompt it. You still have to tell it what to do. It won't run off and do anything that you haven't told it. But I think that we need to really listen to our organizations and the workloads that we have and the processes to see how can we automate this, because it's a way of automating, and you tell the agent what to automate, what to do if it's not working. And I think that it's not very new. A lot of companies use this today with automation, but making it so available is, I think that's what customers and users find a bit scary. Because we have all these rules and regulations, and you have to comply to a lot of things when working with data. So I had a customer saying, okay, but isn't it scary that it will just renew something without me looking at it? Because someone said we have a renewal process. It would be great if it's just automized, but it's not going to work like that. If you tell it not to work like that, it's not going to do that. So we still need to think about management. You don't create information, give it to someone and say, hey, put your name on this, because the person creating needs to be in control. We still need to be in control.
I think going back to what you said, that you're making this now so available. So let me go through what we're going to be talking about today. But I also wanted to share some news, right, that Microsoft just announced. So just again, those of you who've seen the invitation, the agenda, what we're going to be talking about today are different agents, both out-of-the-box agents and then custom-built agents. We're going to be talking about Copilot Actions, and we're going to be looking at how that works. And then again, the Q&A and real life scenarios and challenges and best practices, we will weave into the topics and the discussion for today. And again, I really, really encourage you, now that you have an expert here from Microsoft as well, to take the opportunity to ask your questions. So raise your digital hand or put it into the chat. But in terms of making Copilot and generative AI and agents really accessible for everyone, I think it's really important that we first mention the announcement that Microsoft did last week. I think it was January 15th, when you went out and you said that now there's Copilot for all. So I think it's important to note what it was that was kind of the big change here. So Charlotte, what is it that was kind of the big news?
So as most of our customers already know, using M365 with an Entra edict would give access to Copilot on the web, for example. What was announced is that now you will have access to what we call the Copilot chat, even if you don't have the Copilot M365 license. And this will make it very, very available for everyone within your organization to use this tool within the boundaries of your own data and your security mechanisms that you already have in place. So you don't have to use any other engine. You can use Copilot Chat. So you will have web grounding available at your fingertips. You will also be able to use agents within the M365 Copilot Chat. And that is very new. Before this announcement, agents were only for those who had the M365 license. Now agents can be consumed, created, and maintained by anyone within your organization, as long as your organization says it's okay. You still need to add permissions, of course.
Okay, so let's stop there. So first of all, the Copilot, chat, if we will, had already been available for quite some time, right? So users could already use that. So the naming was new, and the other thing that you're saying that was completely new was that you're now saying that even users that do not have, if we call it the premium license, can now have access to agents.
Yes.
And what we mean with agents are then your little AI assistants that can do things on your behalf. So can access data from a SharePoint library or access data from some files that you have, and also start doing things. Right. So this is a very kind of detailed view on how this would work. But you still don't, you don't get Copilot in Teams or in Outlook or in Word and all of that. That you would still need to have this, if you call it the premium license.
Exactly.
For this. Yeah. And I think one more thing that is also important are these little, when we see these little triangles, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what does this mean when it's included but it's metered? What does that mean?
It means that you pay for it by consumption. So anyone that is familiar with how we use the Power Platform, formerly bots that you can build, it's the same way of thinking about how to consume the resources behind the service. So there are different ways to calculate this, and it will be more clear going forward when we get a lot of feedback from our customers as well. But think of it as consuming messages. So you still need to have a bundle that you buy, a message bundle, or you can set up a pay-as-you-go service.
So the good thing is that basically you're giving organizations three options. You're giving them the fully free, that everyone can use Copilot with what's available at no additional cost. You're giving them the possibility to use the free version with agents, and they kind of pay as they go, so they pay for what they use. Or the third option is if you just get a Microsoft 365 Copilot Premium license, it's kind of capped at the $30 per user per month. So you're making this available to all users, kind of independently of their usage level, so that you can find the right mix.
Exactly.
It's
I just have one thing.
Gym membership, right? You're like, okay, should I get the all-inclusive? And then you're like, but I actually don't go to the gym that often, but I should.
Yeah, exactly. I just have one thing to add there. When we're talking about agents with actions, that is not yet available to anyone without the, let's say, premium license. So that will still be in the price plan for only those with the M365 Copilot's license. I have no idea if this will change, maybe not. But think of it as adding actions will add more workload, and that will mean that we will not have a pay-as-you-go model for that at the moment.
And we're not going to go into the cost here, but we have provided you, there's a QR code here. We'll also put the link into the chat. So this is more, if you want to get into more detailed in the costs and what that would be. So we'll just share that afterwards. Brilliant. Okay, so that was just a little bit of the announcement. And I think, you and I are already excited about agents, and I know many of our colleagues are here as well. But I thought it's important also to start looking at, what are these agents? And let's start looking at what they can actually do. Okay, so let's start looking at the out-of-the-box agents. So again, these agents are for those who have, and I'm going to call it the premium license now. So the ones that have the Microsoft 365 Copilot Premium license, they will also have access to a number of out-of-the-box agents. And for those of you who read our blog here lately, last month, I think it was, Understand the Power Custom Agents, you could see that you can already start using, for instance, the facilitator agent. So whenever you are in a Teams meeting and you turn on your notes, you can actually turn on this toggle here. So there's a little toggle in the Teams meeting that says AI generated notes. And if you turn that on, what you will see is that, so this little toggle here, that the facilitator will start taking the notes. It's not just the transcript, but it's actually picking up if you're saying any action items. So, but of course you can also collaboratively take these notes, but it's almost like you're having, a note taker that's listening in to the meeting and taking notes for you. So this has already been rolled out. So I do encourage those of you who have a Microsoft 365 Premium Copilot license that you start testing this and using this in your notes. Because even if you have Copilot and you can recap your meetings, this is a way for everyone in the meeting to have the same view, whether or not you have the Premium Copilot license. Some think that it's a little bit creepy to have this, writing, but I guess it's also something that you get used to. How is it, Charlotte, within Microsoft? Do you always have that turned on by default, or?
No, because you can't turn it on by default, but we try to incorporate it in any meeting that's when we remember. The nice thing is when you get into it, you can actually mention the agent to ask questions within the meeting, and it will update its meeting notes. If a decision was made and then you go back and say, okay, we're going to change this, it will actually change the meeting notes. So I think that using it, depending on what type of meeting you have, but it's the same with turning on Copilot and transcript. Since it's not done automatically, if you don't tell it to when you book a meeting, I think that it will be a small learning curve. And then one day it will be just like opening up the meeting. You always do it.
Okay, so we have some comments here in the chat. Perfect. We're going to get to that. Jerry is actually saying, well, why can't you turn it on? Storyals, we're doing this live. So, okay, let's try it. I'm going to here, I'm going to turn on my Teams window. And here I'm going to click on the notes.
I've already started it.
Julianne has already started it. Wonderful.
And so, I also enabled it for the webinar.
Okay, so here we can see the AI generated meeting notes. Again, this will only be accessible for us within Storyals since we are the organizer. We're organizing this meeting. But here you can see already that our facilitator has already started looking or taking some notes in this meeting. So thank you, Julianne. Thanks, Jerry, for asking. I also saw from Per that you had some questions. So let me clarify. So first of all, I said premium and I said free. These are not terms used by Microsoft. I have to be very clear on that. The official naming is that the free one that's in the chat is now Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. The other one is still Microsoft 365 Copilot. Clear as mud. But again, the announcement was this, that even when you're using the free, I'm going to call it free, even when you're using the free Copilot, you can also now use agents and the pay as you go. That is new. That was something that hadn't been announced before. And also, again, talking about changes, because I think a lot of you who work with end users and work as, digital workplace specialists, it's important for you also to understand, what does this mean for end users, and what does this new branding look like? So the branding that's also being done is that the old, or the nice, I thought it was quite nice, this blue and purple logo is being replaced by the Microsoft 365 logo. So today, if anyone logs into Microsoft 365, whether or not they have the premium license, it will say, welcome if to you Microsoft have the premium Copilot license, you will have this toggle at the top. But if you don't, if you just have the normal one, it will just say Copilot if you click on the Copilot. But I think this is a little bit confusing for users, and it's something that we will have to kind of raise awareness around. And then hopefully you won't make more name changes, Microsoft. Perfect. Great. Keep the questions coming, and thanks for putting us on the toes here. And thank you also for those of you who have shared your favorite apps. Pat, I love that you have SATS. That's like it's a membership to a gym, an actual physical health club gym. So that's wonderful. I wish that was my favorite app on my mobile. Okay, let's move on. So that was a little bit of a sidestep, but I think also important to look at what this all means. Okay, so we've talked about the facilitator agent. Let's look at some of the others. I wanted to show you the project manager agent and the language interpreter agent, because I just think that they are so cool. And it also shows a little bit of the diversity when we talk about these agents. Really, that an agent, we shouldn't just think of it as something that goes and executes things for us, but it could also really be a great support in our day-to-day life. So I'm going to share with sound here. And we're going to look at the first one, the interpreter agent. So if you think about it now, we're speaking English, but I'm Swedish. I know we have Arabic guests, we have German, we have lots of different native speakers here. So what you're soon going to be able to do, we don't have this, us normal people don't have this enabled yet, but I'm going to share this with you. So in this meeting, you would go and you would turn on the interpreter. So you choose the language that you want to interpret to, and you want to change it to English.
Necesitamos revisar el progreso del proyecto. ¿Pueden por favor decirnos cómo van las tareas? We need to review the progress of the project. Can you please tell us how the tasks we should take are going?
There's a bit of echo there. Did you hear the audio? So what happened was, this gentleman here, and I can't really see his name, he was speaking, and now correct me if I'm wrong, was it Spanish or Portuguese? Spanish. And what happens is, when you then turn on the interpreter, the AI, almost in real time, starts generating this in the language that you want. So you would then hear it, and it's his voice. So it's actually using his voice, but putting it in that language. So some of you might think, oh, this is a bit scary, but I'm just thinking about it. This is great, in negotiations, in training, in understanding, having something in your own native tongue. So this, again, is an agent that you can turn on. Yeah, great reactions there. Let me show you the other one. Let me show you the project manager agent. And this is the one that I said that I really wanted a while back. This has no sound. I'm gonna talk you over how this works. So right now, when you create a plan in Planner, you have the option, if you have a Copilot license, you have the option to create such a premium plan that then has Copilot enabled. Okay. What you will be able to do is that you will be able to create a plan with a project manager. So again, if you see to the right, this is a plan with a project manager. So basically you're having an agent that will act on your behalf or on the team's behalf in this project. Now we create the plan and we connect it to a Microsoft 365 group. Again, that's grounding it. So we have the data that's part of the group. And we now create a plan. Right now, it's an empty plan. Okay, and often we start off empty. You see that there's a tab now called the Project Manager. So now we can share the goal and any relevant content that we have for this project. So now I'm going to type in what it is that I want to do. So create a plan for a personalized custom design consultation service. I can add files. Maybe I've done some brainstorming. We have a strategy document. I could add any files that I have as part of this project. And I add them to my prompt. Now, what this agent does, and actually it's an agent that's orchestrating different agents. It takes this prompt that you have and it starts looking at creating tasks based on the goal that you gave it. So here it starts looking at tasks. Yes, this is what you need to do. You need to conduct market research. You need to develop a detailed, I have to read everything here, develop a detailed service offering. All these things are things that you need to do as part of this plan. But not only that, you can also, and let me pause here, you can also assign certain tasks to the project manager agent. So everything that's like develop a plan or do research, you can actually assign it to the agent that is the project manager. So what it will do is saying that, okay, you know what? I've actually made a plan already. So the project manager then puts the research and puts it out and say, this is my plan. This is what we need to do. Of course, you know, you always have to come back and you give it input and you work with it, but you can really see this as a colleague that's working on your behalf. And what I also like about this, how they've built this project manager agent is that, you know, sometimes when you're working with agents and they're so sure, they're like, yep, I've done it. This is correct. Everything's great. This project manager will actually say like, hey, stop, I need input. Like I can't continue without any further input. I'm going to have to stop here. So then you can go and you can actually kind of give them feedback. So Charlotte, this is quite amazing, I think, having this.
Yes, if you're working planner, this is a game changer. I think that using these types of agents that you can actually extend, so you don't just do one thing, but you can do a lot of things within the flow of work, just like a colleague, and that everyone can take advantage of, I would say, is the new way of working. So this is just one example of what you can do with an agent. I think there are a lot of applications and a lot of workflows that you can actually do this. So what we have done for Microsoft is we have built this agent for you so that you don't have to do it yourself. And I think that's the way to think about what we call the out-of-the-box agents. There are a lot of agents from Microsoft, but there are also agents from our partner organizations as well. That will
so
be
again, this is in preview, so it's not released yet, but I believe they've said first half of 2025. Hopefully we can have it soon. And again, this is for people then that have the Microsoft 365 Copilot license. So you will have access to the project manager agent. Can you share a little bit about the employee self-service agent?
Yeah, so this agent is an agent that most organizations might already have. Maybe you have started building a bot that you surface to your employees that will help with common questions on, for example, in this case, it's HR. So this agent is connected to your HR system, whether it's SharePoint or any other third-party system that you're using, and it will use a pre-made template with how to respond, what to look for, how to work. So this is actually a plug-and-play agent that will give you the benefit of using Copilot for your HR services.
So it could be, how many days of leave do I have, or what's the policy for remote work? And again, you might have that in a SharePoint document with your policies, or you might have them in Workday or in some other HR backend systems that you can then connect this employee service agent to. Great. And I think, again, that brings us back to this thing with custom built agents, right? And how we can start building agents, both as end users, as business users. We're going to look at how easy that is. And then also, of course, when you can do more advanced things, when you start, putting this into our hands of, I say developers, but really it's becoming so easy that you don't have to be a coder to do this, but you need to understand some logic and understanding connectors and how data works. But let's have a look first at how you could build as an end user an agent, and then we're not going to get back into the kind of the back end, but later I want to play a little bit a video of Satya talking about a little bit about the future and how this is changing the way that we work. And please also, Storyals team, if there's anything that you think that we should pause and we should answer, then just let me know. I see that Rafael is answering. So we have a question here about the project manager. Is this only for the person, or that you need to have the full license of Microsoft 365 Copilot? And that is the case. So it's the person that has the Copilot premium license. Of course, other people will benefit from you having that project manager license. Yeah, maybe you know that, Charlotte. So can we invite people then to a project manager based plan for people that don't have it, but you just don't see it?
Exactly. So that's the purpose of it. If you create a plan from your account that will give you access to the project manager agent, you will use this within your team. So most projects are not just one person. Since it's in preview, it's not been released. I have not tested it yet as myself, so there might be changes. We have customers coming back with information on how this works and what will be good and what's not good. So that's what we do when we have it in private preview.
Wonderful. Well, we're excited about getting our hands on this for sure. Okay, so let's have a look then. Let's move on and let's look at the building Copilot agents. You should know how we went back and forth on the title of this webinar 1,000 times because we just didn't get the naming. Put your Copilot agents into work. Okay, what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to show you first how easy it is to create an agent. And this is a video, but I'm gonna kind of walk you through. So again, we're in the Copilot chat. You can see here that it is with a premium license, and we're on the work toggle. And in the right-hand panel, where you have access to your different agents, you also have this option to create a Copilot agent. This is visible if your organization allows it to be visible for you. So of course, your organization can choose to turn this on or off. But if it's enabled, an end user can click here to create an agent. Now, when you create an agent, this pops up. So this is just an easy user interface. You don't have to have the full Copilot Studio. And you have a very simple chat-based conversational way of creating your agent. So it says, hi, I'm here to create an agent. What kind of agent do you want to create? And you say, you know what, I want to create a field service agent. Imagine this, you have, technicians out in the field, they need to answer things about things that break down, or they need to give support. And you have all of this knowledge in your documents, thousands of documents in a SharePoint library. And instead of someone having to search, finding the right document, they could just use an agent and ask questions about it. So you're saying here, no, I want to create a field service agent that should help with on-repair site visits. And you should provide step-by-step product knowledge. Okay, great. So it says, okay, where can I get the information? So then it says, here is our site. This is where we have the information. And what happens when you describe this by just telling it in natural language, what happens behind the scenes is that it actually goes in and it configures. So it puts the knowledge, where's this information, where is it coming from, what are the instructions that you're giving, here's the SharePoint library. You could also add other backend systems where it might have information. And then you can, of course, change the icon of this agent. And now you have a functional agent. Okay. Now, you created this agent, and what you could do is now you can also then enable to share it with others. You could use it in the Copilot, but you could also use it in other places. So for instance, you could share it in a chat. Right now, it's only available in chat groups. I know for all of us channel lovers, it's not available yet, but you can add it to a group chat. So let's look at, now we've created it. And actually, this is a video, but it really is this simple to create it. The difficult thing is, where do we have our data? Is our data correct? Is it up to date? Do we have all the information that we need? And things like that. But let's switch over and let's look at now how this would look like. So you see on the right-hand side, we're not using Copilot now. We don't want to ask and get all the generic responses. We want to ask the field service agent. So now we're only looking at that data. So we've also told it, don't get stuff on the internet, only get your answers from here. So now I can start and I can ask it from my mobile or here from this prompt. So here, hi, I've received this error code. What should I do? Can you help me find a solution? Absolutely. So here, the agent then walks through step by step what it should do. And this then field service, the technician can have a conversation using natural language about what to do. And Charlotte, wow. I mean, I think this talk about, our frontline workers, talking about, empowering everyone, this is huge. Do people understand how huge this is?
I don't know. I don't know, because what people tend to do when you give them the tools to use Copilot or to build agents, they think about the big scenarios first. Wow, we can do this and this and this. And they don't pick the fruit that's already there. This is a real simple conversational bot experience that you can build in a few clicks, just adding your own knowledge that that you can curate in the background. So, and I think that this is where to start with the small things that seem very simple, and then build from there. But I don't think that people have actually understood how big this is, because you tend to always try to advance. Oh, then we can do this, and then we can do this, and then we can do this. I've been working for over a year, since launch, with Microsoft 365 Copilot, and what I tend to see is this: okay, you give a user an interface, and they don't start with the predefined prompts or predefined ways of working, but they always try to do some extra because they think it's a tool to just change the world. And I think that we will show this way. We will show that yes, it is a way to change the world, but you have to start small. It's the crawl, walk, run principle for everyone. Yeah.
Sanda, I see you have your hand up here. Please.
Yes. So we have a question. Where do we need to store the documents to be able to be picked up?
Great question. So the example that we used here was a SharePoint site. You could add OneDrive locations as well. You can also put things that you have on the internet and in other systems. And there are a number of different connectors. But it's really important. I mean, you have to have your data, and that data has to be correct and clean.
I think the question too also is around if you currently weren't sharing your data from OneDrive, but yet you invited a whole bunch of people to use this agent, would they then automatically get access to that data that's on your OneDrive that you have given them access to, or SharePoint?
Yeah. So I think for all of these things also, it's super important to look at permissions and authentication and to ensure that you don't have oversharing. I do not know how the permissions, I don't know if you want to get into that, Charlotte, in terms of the permissional access for the agent. But I'm just going to say that, you know, all users need to have correct access to the documents itself. But does it control it on a user level with the agent, or is it the agent that has the permissions?
No, it controls on a user level. So every time you use an agent, it will act as on behalf of the user prompting it. So if you share an agent within a group chat and about 5 people have access to the SharePoint library, they can prompt the agent and get the correct information. It will show up in the chat, so it's per user to control it. But if someone else prompts it and does not have access, it will actually say you don't have access. So this is nothing that I can give you information on. So it will still work like that, but think of it as when you surface it in, for example, a chat channel, you will show that information in snippets. Of course, you will not be able to go to the document if you don't have access, and so on and so forth. So it still inherits all the security principles that you already have in place in your Microsoft 365 environment.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I think let's show the little clip from Satya. So actually, first let me show on the. I don't know if you follow this, but I'm sharing the wrong board here. A few weeks ago, something really went viral, and this was when Satya went out and said that software as a service is dead. Okay, and of course, you know, this was being shared, you know, across, and that's not really. I mean, it was taken a bit out of context what he was saying, but he was really talking about that AI becomes the new user interface towards all of your backend system, and then he was invited to this interview. And I thought it was really good. So I'll just show, I put a little snippet of it here, and I thought I would share that with you as well, where he explains actually what it is that he meant.
And this time around, the thing about agents is they are not going to be bound to essentially any one SaaS application and its data, right? So I'll have an agentic sort of view where the task, the intent, and I will go operate and orchestrate all the logic across multiple SaaS applications, right? I'll go call a bunch of APIs through tools use. So I'll call a bunch of APIs. I will, in fact, I'll post-train my model to know about multiple SaaS applications in the agent tier. And so that's what's going to happen. So I think what will happen is these SaaS applications are a CRUD database with a lot of business logic. So the CRUD database will then get orchestrated outside of the business logic tier of just the SaaS application is what is going to happen. Like right now in my own use case, I go to Copilot, I say at sales, which is actually touching Dynamics CRM, brings back whatever the account information, then it brings back information from Office 365, I put it into Pages, I share it with people, the entire workflow, right? Everybody talks about the CRM database, but nobody uses it because, you know, when was the last time I logged into CRM? Never. Except now I'm every day querying my CRM database because it's so much easier because it's one agent away and it's working with all the other agents. So that is what's going to be the change.
I don't think the Dynamics team are going to be very happy about how he says that. Never go to the CRM system. But I think, first he gave a very technical explanation about the database and the different logical levels. But then he talked about it from an end user perspective, right? Like I do @mention my sales agent. I ask about my customer. I get the whole kind of summary of what's in the CRM system, but I'm having a conversation with Copilot. And it doesn't have to just be the CRM. You could get things from the HR system. You could get it from the, from the support ticketing system, and you just ask questions. And so it doesn't really matter where the data resides, but you can just have conversations with your data. So very, you have a very cool CEO, Charlotte.
Yeah, he is. And I think he explains things in a very comprehensive way, even for those who are not very tech savvy.
Yeah, so I think it's good to always have those both angles of it. Okay, so let's so then so it's not that software as a service is dead. It's just kind of looking at it in a different way. So we've talked about the end user built agents, and then we look at some of the developer kind of IT built agents. And again, it's very cool that we will have both. So some of these will be created by end users. And I just wanted to share a story. The other week I was having a workshop with an executive who was in compliance, and they had this SharePoint library with so many policies and all their documents, and we just created this really quick SharePoint agent that just then used all of the documents in this specific folder. And all of a sudden he was like, wow, now I can ask about this policy, and where can I find this, and list all the files that mention the work from home policy, or all of a sudden he could have entirely new conversations with his data. And that was, again, just a click of a button, something that you can do really, really easily yourself, just in SharePoint. Again, with the premium, with the Microsoft 365 Copilot license. I'm saying we're getting a lot of questions, so that's great. We're having some questions here about hallucinations and the do's and don'ts. Can we create an agent to help with the data cleanup? Bill, I think that's like the best question, right? Because it's always about the information that we have, and your Copilot will not be smarter than the data that you have. Charlotte, can you share a little bit of kind of the best practices here around information management and keeping it clean?
Yeah, I think this is something that a lot of customers are battling right now, figuring out that they have information in various places, and it looks different in every place. I think that the question, can we build an agent to help with cleanup data? My first go-to answer would be yes. My second answer is, are you sure you want to build that? Are you sure there aren't anyone else who has already built it for you? So I think that's also a principle that you need to acknowledge. Every time you have an idea about what an agent should be doing, always go to, is it out there? Ask Copilot. Is there an agent? Is there a service that can help with this? Because I believe that there will be a lot of services that are custom made, but readily available for our end user. We see our partner network, they're building their own agents that work in a way that, because the partners know how their systems work, for example, ServiceNow, they know how ServiceNow works, how the data is indexed, and so on and so forth. So they can build a very good agent. You don't have to do that. There is already one that you can use. So go to the library, the app store, where you can see what agents are available for you. So anything is possible, but also stop, think, act. See if there is someone else who has already done it. can you use that?
And use that. And I think something that we're also seeing a lot of our engagements with customers is that rather than trying to clean up everything, they're instead limiting. So they're kind of saying, okay, let's not use the SharePoint site, let's not use this, but let's focus on this here. So I think, instead of trying to boil the whole ocean, you kind of focus where you want your Copilot to look and to act. Wonderful. We're going to move on a little bit and we're going to talk about actions because I think this is a natural segue. We've talked about agents. So what are actions? So and I'm going to show a little bit of a video here as well. So in its easiest form, you could actually say that it's almost like, an Outlook rule. In Outlook, how you can create a rule that if an email comes, move it to this folder or reply here. So we're going to be able to do the same. Again, this is part of the premium, so the Microsoft 365 Copilot license. And you will be able to see it here then on the that was an ugly color, on the left-hand side, where you also have different templates. So you could have different templates for different actions that you want to do. So, for instance, message people to collect information before I need to do my weekly summary, email summary, let's look at some of the pre-built templates that you could use and how you can use it. So I'm going to go in here again, and again, this is also something that is coming.
Here, pages down here, and now.
Okay, and now I'm gonna not share it with the audio, and I'll just that. Okay, so again, on the left-hand side, you see the actions, and you can see that I have toggles: create, discover, and manage. So under discover, it's basically templates that you can use. So ready-made templates where you could get a starting action. So summarize communication and highlight items. So you could look at that. You could gather information. So request feedback on a document, for instance. So you have all of these different templates that you can use so that Copilot will then go and collect and do things for you. You can schedule these if you want. So you can say, every week I want to do this. It could also be, before my meeting, every week create a customer brief for my customer meetings. So then again, you define the prompt. And then you can put that you want to schedule it, so based on a specific trigger. So you have all of these different templates, but then of course you pick the ones that you want. So I'll just fast forward here a little bit. So here is message Daniel and Marlene and Tranissa on Teams, so you can choose what channel, and then requesting for updates. And I want to have that by 2 p.m. on Mondays. And then you can preview this message, and you can also look at a little bit of it will show you kind of the workflow for how it will look. So, okay, this is what's going to happen. Of course, you would put a personal message in there, and then this would be sent out. So this is a little bit of what we've seen from Copilot Actions. Charlotte, can you add a little bit more here? Is this something, have you got your hands on these actions already?
No, unfortunately not. Even though we call ourselves customer zero, some things are not released to us. They're released to our premium customers first. But I would say that using actions will be before actions, you can actually schedule prompts. The thing with actions is that it's a lot of prompts. It's a workflow. And if you are familiar with Power Automate, it's kind of the same principle, but it works on the behalf of you. So see it as what you do with your personal assistant. What can it do for you? It doesn't have to do with the flow of work within let's say a business process, but it has more to do with what are your tasks? What is it that you do every week? I know a lot of people have on their agenda to actually gather updates. That's why the agent is there to help with the tasks. So hopefully this will be very useful. We will see it used a lot when it's launched. And I think that we also have a great opportunity to offload ourselves with the help of these pre-made flows and actions.
Absolutely. And Philippe, I see that you have a question there that you can't find the action button. None of us can yet. It's something that's coming. So this is again was announced at Ignite in November, and it's also in private preview, and it is being rolled out to us. So this is again just a first-hand glimpse. Charlotte, we are coming to the end here. We've looked at the announcement, out-of-the-box agents, custom agents. We've looked at Copilot Actions. I think I want to get to just have a few kind of, what recommendation would you give to our audience here? Now we're introducing all of these things, and it can be a little bit of overwhelming. So what would be, what would you tell your customer? What is the best practice for getting started with this?
I think that I would say release it. No, but the best way to actually get started and see what it can mean for your organization is to let the end user actually use the tools. Because what happens otherwise is that you have a lot of discussions, you have a lot of design meetings, you have a lot of what if. This is a simple tool to actually explore what do people think that they can use it for? And you have the administration's controls that will actually allow you to see, okay, what happens. If you have the M365 Copilot license, you will also have advanced controls so that you can check. And most organizations will not use only the M365 Copilot chat. They will also have users with the premium license, as we said in this call. So I would say that don't be scared, don't be afraid. And if you have any questions, ask Copilot, because there is a lot of information out there, and we have a lot of MVPs and forums with our users, and they know so much. They know so much more than I do about things because they share their knowledge. So use that knowledge, ask the internet, or ask Copilot if you have any questions. And I think that it will just be a fun ride. Don't be afraid, but still crawl, walk, run.
I think it's funny. Even my 9-year-old son, he said the other day he's like, ask Copilot, ask Copilot. So now it's like, yeah, don't ask me, ask Copilot and you will get it. No, absolutely. I'm 100% with you. I think just start, be curious, give this in the hands. This is not an IT tool. I mean, of course, IT need to be engaged and they need to be, part of this. But I'm going to give you all a call to action. Now, this button just doesn't do anything. It just sends us an email. But what I really want to give you the call to action. Now, many of you who are attending it today are already customers of ours, and you're amazing. You're continuously curious and training and learning. So that's amazing. But for those of you here who really need help in driving end user awareness and adoption, please do get in touch with us. This is what we do daily. We breathe and live for inspiring and sharing our knowledge. So thank you so much. Thank you, Charlotte, for attending. And thank you, everyone who is here today. The recording will be shared with everyone afterwards. Have a lovely, lovely day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.